Okay, hello beautiful souls. Welcome to another video. I have my candle here, but depending on how much of a menace my cat Teddy wants to be, will depend how long it'll be here. But for someone, it might act as confirmation. It's a purple candle. You might want to light a purple candle as well. Okay, so the energy of this video is very much centered around slowing down and listening to spirit. It feels like a chaotic energy. This is, at least personally, the energy I've been feeling today of having things on, having things playing, but desiring silence, like seeking out mental distraction, I suppose, when in your mind is just chaos, but you hear spirit screaming at you to stop. And it's not hostile, it's not, mean, but it's like this energy of like, you've been ignoring me so much. It's like an exasperated energy, like, no, I need you to stop. I need you to slow down. I need you to listen to what I'm saying. Like, a lot of you may be feeling stuck or trapped or lost, but spirit is giving you the answer. But because it's so scary or it's so out of rhythm with what your life is right now, you're not listening. And spirit is exasperated. It's this energy of like, I've told you what to do. I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you the time is now. I'm telling you to start this right now. I'm telling you to speak to this person right now. I'm telling you to move, to make this move right now. I'm telling you to ask for that promotion right now. But because the thing is scary, you're not doing it. And it's like, if you don't move in that fear, in spite of that fear, you are not going to receive the blessings that you're supposed to be receiving in this season. I know a lot of things are happening astrologically in March. A lot of Mars, Venus is going in retrograde. It's already in retrograde. We have, a lot of things from the past coming up. You may be having a lot of memories coming up, positive, nostalgic energies, and you might even want to encourage some of those memories, especially if it's a situation where you've been thinking on all the negative things for so long, and then spirit pops up with like a positive memory you forgot about completely, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, I forgot about that. Oh my goodness, this fills my heart with such joy. And just like sitting in that feeling and remembering and enjoying and being at peace within your heart. Some of you may be dissociating a little bit. You may feel a little disconnected from life right now. I just yesterday, got Instagram back. And when I say that my activity on there has been absolutely mindless, it has been very mindless, and I am very much considering getting off of it again because it was just such a brain rot. Not to say that my algorithm isn't good. Like, there's amazing people on my algorithm. There's amazing people that I follow, but it just literally felt like my energy was being sucked out. My focus was being taken away. Some of you may feel the same. So I feel this energy of reconnecting with magic. So I've brought all of my kind of magic inspired decks. Maybe not all of them, but some of them out. So I plan on shuffling for you. There are no piles. It's just going to be an intuitive flow of messages. You may find that one message resonates and another does not. Sometimes I get very specific with my readings, so it may just be that one thing resonates with you and then nothing else. So I invite you to grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, water, and just sit with whatever spirit has to bring forth for you. This is my first time in a while coming with a tarot / oracle reading, so this is me moving through the fear, past the fear, and kind of just letting it come through. So okay, let's get started. I have a few different decks. This first one is a new one called the Sacred Forest Oracle. And that I will accompany with the Fairy Oracle that I have. And possibly, if depending how things go, I have my Starseed Oracle, my Akashic Record Oracle, my Herbal Astrology Oracle, and finally, the classic Arthur Waite Tarot. Depending on what I feel guided to do, we'll see how it goes. I like to start with oracles, and I tend to get most of my messages from oracles, so let's go. What do you need to hear? What do you need to know right in this moment? What do you need to reconnect with within yourself? That feeling of disconnection, what needs to be reconnected, what needs to be brought forth. Alright, so the first card that I got was the Guardians of the Land, Protection. Very simply, some of you may be called to reconnect with the earth. Whatever natural spirits and natural elements are in your area, you may be called to reconnect with them. I personally live in the deserts, so I was called to go hiking in one of our vortexes here. And I really enjoyed it. It was really nice. So yeah, whether you live near a forest, whether you live near water, a spring, a creek, desert rocks, vast prairies, whatever you're connected to, you feel called to, find a way to integrate that. Find a way to make a trip, make a journey, and really connect with that energy. Even if it's grabbing an element from the earth outside, from your backyard, and kind of meditating with it, let it kind of rejuvenate you and reconnect you to Mother Earth. I know in many places it's very much winter. We have the Bear Spirit Healing. Bear Spirit Healing. So some of you may be in a winter energy, as I was saying, so this may be a little bit more difficult, but connect with the snow. Snow is still an element. It is frozen water, right? Yes, you may just feel this need to completely disconnect and just hear nature. Nature sounds, even. Healing energy, protection energy. For some of you, the energy of Venus retrograde may bring up a lot of memories, good and bad, for the sake of your healing, for the sake of you working through some things. Some of you may need closure. You may feel a need to hear something from someone or discover something for yourself about something that you went through. And really encourage and allow and open yourself up to spirit doing that for you. Some of you may be feeling like a tug on your heart, and you really feel that you need to sit down and meditate, or that you need to say certain words, even just to yourself, and allow that. The key part of this magic energy is to allow it into your life, allow it to flow, which is what this card is. Meandering pathway, flow, protection, healing, and flow. Some of you might need to get lost in nature I had that experience during my hike. It was very strange, but during that situation, I was just being encouraged to enjoy the journey. So it was very interesting. Some of you may be called to break out of the routine of your life and to take a step away, walk away, move away, even just for a moment, and just get lost. Allow yourself to get lost, preferably with a way back, but it could be metaphorically as well. Get lost in memories, get lost in fantasy, get lost in, an art that you enjoy. If you don't mind, I would love to share some of the things Spirit has been working with me on this past month, and I'm sure into this month. This is a year of the snake. It's very much transformation energy, and I find, for me personally, Spirit is really calling me to embrace more of my Leo energy. Not to say that it's not there, but I have Leo very heavy in my chart. But I also have Cancer as my rising sign. So I oftentimes identify myself with my Cancer rising more so than my Leo various stallions. Almost as if to downplay that part. Ego really had no place in my life growing up. It had no place in the way I spoke or moved or acted in the world. I was made to feel very small for a lot of my life, and so it feels like Spirit is really calling me out of that, and it's calling me to embrace being bigger, being seen, being bolder. I've been very nudged in terms of the connection between my sacral energy, which is very heavy and very powerful, and my solar energy, my heart energy, and my throat chakra, and that pathway. So being called to use my throat chakra a lot more through words, through truth, embracing truth. I've been kind of stepping into Kemetic spirituality a little bit more. I'm not like there necessarily, but one of the goddesses I've been called to work with slowly but surely is Ma'at, who is order, who is truth. And one of the first things I said when I called her in was to show me the areas that I'm not living in my truth. And very funnily enough, one of the major things is concerning relationship. And even if not relationship, just telling, certain people that I have feelings for, or that, I may think a certain way of, being more honest about that, being more vocal about how I feel and not fearing repercussions or fearing rejection. That is like the major thing I'm being called to overcome right now, is this fear of rejection. So this energy of like feeling the fear, feeling the embarrassment or whatever, but doing it anyway. So that might resonate with some of you. But yeah, so allow yourself to flow in this, and using these cards, recognizing that in the flow, there is healing for you, there is healing for your hearts. Spirit is not going to call you to do anything without it being for your greatest good. So some of you may be being called out of your comfort zone for the sake of you healing, for the sake of your growth. And healing and growth are uncomfortable. It is painful. It is not meant to be an easy situation. This is a very probably surface level example, but even with tattoos, right? So I've gotten my 2 first tattoos. You can't really even see it. I guess my forearms would have to be extended the other way, but I have Sekhmet on one arm and Bastet on the other arm, and the energy of Sekhmet as my first tattoo was absolutely painful. In terms of getting it, probably not as painful as I would have expected, but the healing process, Sekhmet is fire energy to me. It was very, I was itchy for, days, if not like a week or more. It healed beautifully, it healed perfectly, but I was itchy for so long. And then with Bastet, this past, I got it like what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago now. Healed very easily. There's been itching, but it's very minimal. But I didn't have that like such an intense like, oh my god, I have like, after I'd gotten it, it burned a lot, but then it was gone. So of course that could just be my body already adapting and healing and, you know, just being the way I am, right? But it's just like the healing process kind of gets easier over time, right? But you have to allow yourself to heal. You have to be open to it. You have to be receptive to it. And there may be uncomfortable things coming up for you that you're being really pushed to acknowledge, pushed to recognize. And in order for you to grow and to get to the next level, you need to endure it and you need to feel it, no matter how painful it is. And recognize that in that process, you are being divinely protected, right? Spirit is not going to call you to such a vulnerable place because healing is very vulnerable and it's ongoing. I'm not saying that it's a one and done situation. There are things that continually come up for me that I am called to face, to acknowledge in different seasons of my life, various, like maybe every other month, honestly. But it's interesting to see how each time it comes up, the way that I perceive it is different, right? I no longer perceive it in a certain way. I no longer see it with the same emotions, and if I do, it's not as intense. Or, you know, just like recognizing that healing process, each point that you face, that you acknowledge, that you overcome, whether you are clearing karma or just healing through things, like you realize it gets a little easier each time. It might still be difficult, but it is easier. And again, in the midst of all of that, you're being divinely protected. You're being divinely covered. But you must allow yourself to flow. I didn't even notice that in this meandering pathway, there's a wizard here. I genuinely did not see that whatsoever. It gives Merlin energy, healing energy. Maybe you're called to work with Merlin. Interesting. Maybe your animal totem is a deer, which is in this first card, or a bear. This is really interesting to me because I was thinking of a movie the other day that was really made an impression on me when I was younger, and I remember it coming up a few months ago and I didn't really like look into it too much. I still don't fully know where I can watch it. The movie was called The Golden Compass. I actually think I started watching it and it was just very confusing to me because it was not at all how I remembered it. But it's a movie that's been coming up, and this card, for some reason, I think because she had like an animal totem that was a polar bear, perhaps. It was a very strange movie. That much I remember, but it was coming up for me recently. But that card reminds me of it. You might be someone who has always been very attuned to the spirit world, and maybe you haven't really fully been aware of it. If you're someone like me who you've been kind of in that dissociative state a long time in your life, like the part of you that kind of dissociated for your own healing or for your own safety, it's hard sometimes to differentiate between truth and your mind. But please recognize that whatever you're feeling or seeing or sensing, you're not making it up. That might be validation for someone. Like, you might be seeing certain things and experiencing certain things, And part of you is like, I'm crazy, you know, there's no way this is real. And it's like, no, that is one of your gifts in this incarnation, in this lifetime. Call in the magic. Call in the magic. Embrace the magic and flow with it. This is not the time to be afraid of your magic. This is not the time to hide your magic. This is the time to bring it fully to the forefront. Poor Teddy, he's getting like berated by my cards down here that are falling. Alright, let me just read the card that came out. So the card that came out was the Yule Singer, Rebirth, Feasting, Joy. So some of you may connect to Yule or Christmas or the winter energy. You may be someone who is a singer or is connected to just that Christmas spirit, that Christmas energy. You may have been born during Christmas season. Rebirth, feasting, joy. It feels like the energy of coming out of that healing energy of kind of finding a new version of yourself, finding yourself again, finding yourself, seeing yourself as a new person, honestly. I have this mirror that I was called to buy about a month ago. It was very spontaneous. It's something I found on Facebook Marketplace. It was very much bigger than I thought. Some of you might be called to mirrors during this time. Don't think of it as like the story with Narcissus is like as if you're being a narcissist. Like, this mirror has ended up being so healing for me so far. It quite literally has brought me to see myself differently. It has brought me joy to see myself through a lens. It's almost as like being able to see myself the way others might see me and celebrating that and even changing my own perspective. Because it's very easy when you don't have a mirror or an image in front of you of how you are to perceive yourself a certain way mentally. And then you actually see yourself and you're just like, and really see yourself, not simply, you know, berating yourself in the mirror or, you know, looking out for all your imperfections, but really seeing yourself for you. I was called like a few days ago to just get up, go in front of the mirror, stare into my own eyes, and tell myself these beautiful affirmations that I never received from my own mother. And it was healing. It felt kind of strange. It felt very weird to do it, but it was healing at the same time. And ever since that, it's not to say I've never done that before, but this time it just felt more like I was ready to receive it. And honestly, since then, I've just felt so much more free. You know, I dance in front of the mirror. I'm goofy and I'm okay with it. So you may feel called to get a mirror in order to really see a different version of yourself and perceive yourself differently. So that was the Yule Singer. We have the Life Bringer. This is a very beautiful art. The Life Bringer, establishment, growth, fulfillment. Excuse me, the Life Bringer. Some of you may be with childs. You may also be someone who just brings life to your environment. You bring life to those around you. Whatever room you step into, you're the light, you're the life. And you just brighten up everyone's day and everyone's energy just by being yourself. And that might be something you weren't even aware of, but I'm telling you, like, you light up a lot of people's lives. But even with this energy of healing and being called to heal and flow, this is an energy of like being reignited, being quickened and brought back to life. Some of you may have felt very lifeless at the beginning of this year. I definitely felt that way. And with the whole symbolism of a snake shedding its skin, I don't understand the whole process. I haven't read into it or learned about it, but I imagine that there is a point of stasis for that snake as it sheds its skin, right? It's like quite literally this exoskeleton is being shed, and it's like all these things are coming up for you to shed them, and it's heavy. It feels uncomfortable. It feels disgusting even to acknowledge it, to come face to face with it. And it's terrible. Maybe it's the way you speak to yourself, the way you see yourself, the way you feel that others perceive you may be very heavy and very negative. You may have taken on a personality that isn't yours because of how others treated you in the past, or how others spoke to you or spoke of you in the past, and you felt the need to cover and to change and to, shrink yourself down to fit into what they expected. Some of you, you may have been spoken badly about or badly too, like you're nothing, you're never going to amount to anything, etc., etc. And so you quite literally shrink down to fit that mold. And it's like this year, Spirit is really calling you to expand. Whether you want to think of it as a, caterpillar growing its wings, a snake shedding old skin, like you are literally about to outgrow whatever was in the past. You're about to outgrow and move past a lot of what has been holding you back. I feel this energy for myself, this energy of metamorphosis, of letting go fully of the past. And it's ironic because for me, a lot of very positive memories that I've forgotten about have started coming up, like childhood memories, teenage memories that were really nice. Ironically, that were outside of my home. Not ironically, but that when I remember it, it brings me life. And it's like you're being called to release and forget the parts of your past that have held you down and that have made you into who you don't want to be. They have brought you to this point. They may have weakened you, they may have strengthened you. It made you who you are today, but you're releasing that. And it's time for the things that made you alive, the things that your child self loved, your teenage self loved. You're being called to reclaim that and hold on to that and move forward with that. No matter how you are as an adult now, that is what is bringing you healing, is reparenting yourself and finding yourself again and embracing your inner child, your various inner childs, and healing them one by one. This is so funny. I remembered last night, actually, a very specific kind of art style that I had for quite a little bit. It wasn't something I expanded into. It was very like these characters with big eyes. It was a very specific style, and to others it may have seemed weird. And in the past month, I've been like wanting to start art again, but really feeling like I needed to conform to the sense of like I need to draw like other people draw. Like it's not realistic. I want to draw more realistic. And then last night that came up for me, like remembering that art style that I had, and it was like, holy shit. Like, it's not important how other people draw. It's not even important how other people perceive this art style. That art style made me happy. And it's something I'm being called to, like, do again. And it's just the simplest thing, but it's like you may be called to do the things you used to do as a child, to read the books you used to read, to watch the movies. Although, this is very interesting for me. The movies that are my comfort movies, I've been trying to like circle through different things on Disney Plus, because there were movies that for years I've watched over and over and over again, And all of a sudden, it's just not happening. And maybe it's just right now, maybe it's just today, but it's like I could not for the life of me, like nothing inspired me anymore. And that's okay. It just means we've transitioned into a new space. Like having this energy of nostalgia, but the things that I usually go to for nostalgia aren't fitting anymore. It's very, very interesting. That might be a message for someone. Maybe certain things that you used to go to, maybe they weren't so positive, maybe they weren't so healthy, maybe they were good, but it's like you've outgrown it even without realizing it. Let me know in the comments if you feel that energy, if you've had that kind of happening, where something that you used to go to suddenly doesn't feel right. It doesn't have to be like, you know, it may make you sad, but ooh, okay. But it's something that you kind of have to let go, and you have to be willing to let go and kind of move into, okay, what is it now that brings me joy, that brings me life? For some of you, maybe it's like, okay, no longer do I need to find external things to make me happy, to make me satisfied. Like I can actually just find this within. Like my heart is open enough now for me to just feel it by myself. Like I don't need to be inspired externally. I don't need a muse for it to come through. I can just think about something or just feel it as it is. So 2 more cards came out. We had Frere, abundance, peace, contentment. That's actually literally what I was just saying. That peace, like, oh my gosh, I don't need something external anymore to bring me that. I don't need an external source for me to be happy anymore. Like it's actually within me. And oh my goodness, I love how the flame is like dancing now. And then we have She Who Laughs, humor, perspective, mirth. That's exactly what I'm talking about, that energy of like your heart being full. And this was another thing I was being called to last month. It felt, again, very awkward and very uncomfortable. Didn't even feel like anything was happening, but I was called to literally ask one of the goddesses that I work with to help me in opening my heart, in bringing joy in my heart, in being open and vulnerable and feeling and letting myself feel, which kind of building upon that has brought me to where I am in this energy of like mirth and saying what I never would say to someone about how I feel, and not being so attached to how they might think or what they might say back. And it's just like, I just need to live in my truth. I just need to be me and do what I need to do. You're gonna get to a point where you're so unburdened that when spirit calls you to do something, you're just gonna be like, of course, you know, like I'm so ready. I'm so light and free, you know? Okay, so this is a Starseed Oracle. I'm gonna see if anything wants to come out for you here. We have Earth School, life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. I know many people don't quite resonate with the energy of Earth being a school. I don't quite know how I feel about it either. I see reincarnation as a natural process, and that we learn certain things through each incarnation regardless of where we are. It doesn't quite seem like that should be limited to just school, but some of you in this time may be feeling a lot of karmic things coming up for you to clear them very, very quickly. Whether it's through your dreams, whether it's like you may feel a little overwhelmed by all the things coming up, whether it's like ancestral lessons or past life lessons. Like, things are coming up very rapidly for you to work through very quickly, because like that transformation energy, that energy of like connecting to the world and humanity, it is being opened up so much right now that it's like you cannot remain in the past. And I know one of my last readings was similar to that. Like, we can no longer stay in the old. We can no longer stay in the old thinking, the old heart, the old mentality. It's like we can't exist there anymore, because we have to level up in our vibration. We have to go to the new level and experience all there is to experience on the next level. I have Child of the Cosmos that came out. Oh, there are more cards here than I initially thought. So, the Child of the Cosmos, it says the intelligence of the universe lies within you. Again, that energy of like things within you being brought to life, being brought up. You may find that your clairs are kind of coming out a lot more. Your clairsentience, your clear empathy, clear sight, clairvoyance, clairaudience, like all of a sudden it's kind of coming up. I was just thinking how it feels like I have surges, especially when it comes to making herbal teas and remedies for people. Like, I'll be called to make something. Like, it feels like nothing really has happened in my life for the past few months. Like, nothing exciting, I suppose, where I didn't have to really do readings, pull cards. Just felt like whatever I needed day to day was just there. Downloads and everything were just there, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm being pushed into kind of that spiritual energy, and like seeing that power manifest or seeing something happen because I was guided to do it, and then kind of like quieting down again. It's just like surges, like, ooh, okay. You're not alone. Isolation, physical connection, community. You are not alone. I think I said in my last reading that you may be called to connect with otherworldly beings in this time. This is the great severing. Okay, that's powerful right there. Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love. The severing, though, that energy of like removing the exoskeleton, severing the things that are like heavy and negative and tie us down, and holding on to the things that bring us light, and, you know, beginning to rise, beginning to float above it. And then we have the blue flame, spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. I cannot make any of this up. It's very fun sometimes. Like, okay, I'm gonna share a little vulnerability with you. When it comes to tarot reading, and you may notice I haven't touched tarot cards, like, I feel like I am most powerful when I'm reading intuitively and when I'm going with whatever comes up. And sometimes I feel very uncomfortable with like how much I talk about myself or I talk about my life. But quite literally, that's how the reading flows for me. And that may not be how other readers flow, but, you know, speaking about what I'm being taught, what I'm being shown, what I'm being guided to do is how my readings come through many times. And when it comes to tarot, I feel like I get so in my head, either trying to perceive it intellectually and feeling like I am less than if I don't say the exact meanings of things, or I don't, speak about certain cards the way that others do. Even just flowing mostly in oracles and not really in tarot, that feels a little bit like, I get that sense of, not feeling like I'm good enough, or not feeling like I am a tarot reader. And it's really recognizing that everyone has their own flow, everyone has their own methods, and the way that spirit uses them is going to be different. I may, be called to a certain group of you who feel really amazing about this reading, but it's very easy for me to get in my head like, oh, no one's gonna watch this, no one wants to, no one's gonna relate to this, I'm talking too much, I'm rambling too much. And it's like, know, like, your energy is specific to you. When spirit is calling you to do something, it is not just for you. It will heal you, it will help you, but it is for a purpose. And if you don't listen to spirit, if you don't obey spirit, and that opportunity passes by, it's a disservice to you and a disservice to everyone who would have experienced that idea, that business, that poem, like whatever it is that you're being called to create it, do it, and realize that if you're being guided to do it, it is meant to bless someone. It may not happen in this moment, but time is not linear, right? There are people, just because you put it into the universe, there are people there are other multiverses that get to experience it. Whether, like, you might create something and someone else sees it in their dream and it blesses them and it touches them, you know? Never underestimate the power of your creation. Never underestimate the power of your mind. And, you know, even if you think that maybe what you're creating is dark, some people need the darkness in order to see the light. I have a lot of poetry that is very heavy and dark and depressing and sad, but I needed to write those poems, at least for myself, for me to get to a point where I can look back on those same things with a level of peace. So whatever you are called to create, don't be ashamed of it. Don't shrink yourself down for anyone. Don't say that it's too weird or too strange and leave yourself in the darkness. You have to move in the light, move into the light, even in the midst of your own personal darkness. I'm actually looking at a card that's in my little case over here. It says self-indulgence. Self-indulgence. And it says focus on self, self-worth, time to heal, shadow work, self-appreciation. Many of you may be called, even with this reading, and maybe with all the things I've spoken about so far, about mirrors, and just to appreciate yourself more, to love yourself more, to allow yourself to thrive a little bit more. We have Rose that came out, love. I think this is going to maybe Akasha Records after. Love yourself. Even in this Venus retrograde energy, I call upon you to ask your guides, your ancestors, whoever you work with, your goddesses, your gods, to help you to be open to that energy of love. It doesn't have to come externally, but call upon even your higher self to reignite your heart chakra, to help you, like, reveal the pain in your heart, reveal the grief, reveal the scars, reveal everything in there that is hidden, especially if it's something that you've hidden, that you've, like, pushed down. And if the tears start to come up, don't blink them away or wipe them away. Let them flow. Like, some of you may have a heavy heart, and in order to move forward, you need to work through it. You need to face it. You need to see it. I don't know if you've ever seen Moon Knight. It's my favorite Marvel show for obvious reasons. But the main character, Mark Spector, he has multiple personalities. And there's this point where after the balancing of their, or not balancing, the weighing of their heart, my nose is tingling, this is important. After the weighing of their hearts on the scales, because they had two separate hearts, his two personalities, two of his personalities, I should say, had two separate hearts, and he had to go through this entire journey of showing his full self to himself. And there was actually still another personality that wasn't revealed, but he had to go back in time and see things that he had forgotten completely, that he had repressed because it was too painful. He had to literally go back and see it and feel it and experience the pain of it in order for him to heal, to become united, his heart to become one, to become light as a feather. Like, some of you, the things that you aren't facing, the things that you aren't letting come to light are what are drowning you, what is holding you down. And you may think that leaving it in the darkness, that holding it back is what's going to help you, that's what's going to keep you afloat, but in reality it is dragging you down. And back when I lived in a Christian household, there was a scripture, it might have been Ephesians, I'm not sure, but there are Corinthians maybe, but there is a scripture about bitterness, and it described bitterness as a root in your heart. And that always, like, in my mind, I literally always saw it very similar to this, actually, as like thorns, a root with thorns. And it was like that root grows so deep into your heart that it chokes you from inside. And it makes you bitter. It makes your heart dried and petrified. It makes your heart literally turn to stone. And if you don't make the conscious effort to pull that thorn out, no matter how painful, because it's the kind of situation where your heart feels like a stone. It may look like a stone to you on the outside, but once you start pulling on that thorn, once you start pulling on that root of bitterness, you start to feel the pain, and it hurts. And it hurts so badly. How could that person have said that to you? How could that person have done that to you? How could that person have treated you like that? And, how could they? Or how could I? Sometimes it's even facing what you have done for yourself or to someone else and being like, how could I have done that? And the grief, the grief that you have buried, that you haven't allowed yourself to feel, it will overflow, and the pain will be there. And again, I'm not saying that pain is easy. It's not meant to be easy, but you have to feel it. In order to have life again, you have to feel. You have to feel the pain. I feel like this energetic pulsing around me right now. Like, you have to feel. And for some of you, that's the only message you need. It's time to feel again. Is there a purple light here? That's my Himalayan light, but it looks purple on my camera. That might be your intuition coming through. This is so strange to me. It looks like almost like a spirit. But yeah, what are you being called to feel? I have elder here that was also out here. Elderberry, elder, wisdom, also a tree. Some of you, like, that thorn in your heart is what's blocking you from feeling and seeing and sensing spiritually. So ask your guides, ask your angels, whoever you work with, to bring those things up for you. And take a day, take 2 days, take 3 days, whatever amount of time you need to really just sit with it. No matter how uncomfortable. I think one of the reasons Spirit was really calling me to just turn everything off and to make this video, like, sometimes you really just have to sit in silence, and that is so uncomfortable at times, especially when you are so used to being engulfed in distractions. Like, sometimes we're distracting ourselves so we don't have to experience things, so we don't have to feel things, we don't have to think about things. Like, we just want to be left alone, and we think the more noise we create, the less we'll have to hear. But, like, circling back to how I started the video, it's like Spirit is screaming. Like, you hear what I'm saying and you're ignoring it. And it's going to be more and more and more and more uncomfortable the more you ignore it. It's going to be more and more uncomfortable the more you ignore it. So why not? Like, let's just deal with the pain now. Because the recovery process would be so much quicker after. That's why I have to tell myself every time I do a new piercing. I do a lot of my own piercings. But yeah, like literally, like the needle will be right. Sorry if anyone's scared of needles, but like the needle will be like already through the first layer, and it's like I gotta push through. Like I can either take this out, just have a whole bunch of like blood everywhere, and not have the result I want, or I can just push through, even though it's really painful. Push through the pain so that we can get to the next process of healing. Yeah. My candle is like burned down to the stub now. Like, some of you literally are ignoring pain, and it's like, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go so we can heal. Like, you're pushing away the inevitable. You're not only just pushing back the pain, you're pushing back the healing. It's not for your benefit to do that. Because the sooner we can take it in and feel it, the sooner we can ascend, the sooner we can start healing. All right, so in the Akashic Records deck, we got the female relationships. I mean, honestly, even without that, just the way she's standing, that sense of freedom. But for some of you, that pain might be related to a female relationship, a mother, a sister, a grandmother. I'm realizing that a lot of the female energy in my own family was very, I don't want to say toxic per se. There were good times and bad times, but I had a memory specifically about my grandmother just today. My grandmother on my maternal side. And it really like kind of brought in a whole new level of like, not even anger, it was just disgust. It was like, wow. Because it's not only like realizing how that affected me at that time, how she reacted to a certain situation that put me in danger mentally, emotionally. That was like the loss of my innocence. That particular experience was literally the loss of my innocence. I can say that particular moment, I had gone through shit before, but that moment of my great-grandfather saying to me what he did, great-grandfather, my step-grandfather saying to me what he did, and then her response when I told her, not only recognizing that was the loss of my innocence, but that learning later on that she did the same thing to my mother, and worse, like realizing that the pain that my mother inflicted upon me started with the pain that her mother inflicted upon her. Whew. Some of you might be called, even in ancestral healing, like you might be called to work through some of the pain that your mother went through for your sake. You might be called to work through some of the pain your grandmother went through for your sake. Like, there are some things you have to understand from your maternal lineage that, like, is affecting you, and you may not even realize it. Realizing, like, how you respond to love, how you treat others, how your heart is, might be directly related to your mother. Your womb space, maybe you have cramps, you have pain, you have all these things, might be directly related to your mother. I don't have a good relationship with my mother. I don't talk to her. There are many people out there who are like, you have to heal your relationship with your mother. You can do that without talking to them. You can do that without, disrupting your peace in that way. I have found maternal healing through older women, even from the time I did live at home, who I met outside of home, like at my workplace. Like, there were maternal women, even in my life now, that I see as mothers, because their energy is pure and it heals me, right? It may not be like, oh my God, like they treat me as a child, but like I go to them for advice and I receive healing in that way. The goddesses I worked with, I embrace them as mothers and I call upon them as mothers to help me through situations. So you may be called to heal some maternal things in unconventional ways. You know, you may not have access to your actual mother, and that's okay. You may be called to heal certain things in your family tree just by meditation, by envisioning. You may actually envision a tree and envision it starting from the roots and envision healing light working its way up that tree to your branch. Or even the other way around, from you as that branch and that healing energy spreading from you to your tree. It might come to a point where you even get to a point where you release the resentment because you understand how that her mother's mother affected her. And you get to a point where you're even to the point of like, almost like pitying her and recognizing her pain and choosing to heal that for yourself. Healing for her, healing for yourself, healing for your lineage, and telling them that you're not going to perpetuate that. I'm sorry. I just had a very... Oh. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I had something come through. I'll share. Like, a few years ago, I had this kind of, not premonition, but realization that if I had a daughter, I would name her Naomi, right? And in the past year or two, I've been in this very broken space of fear and kind of brokenness. Oh, Spirit, you can't be doing this to me right now. Of a very closed off heart where I've said that I will not have children because of what I went through. And there has been a part of me that's been like, I'm not the same as my mother. I'm very different from my mother. And, you know, I've been saying things about myself to myself, perpetuating her character in myself without even realizing it. And a few weeks ago, I had this realization, like, I need to change the way I talk about myself to myself. I need to change the way I talk to myself, period. And I'm realizing that even saying that statement of I'm not going to have children, even though I know that I am meant to have my daughter, I'm meant to have a daughter, I'm meant to have a child or children, and that me closing off my heart to that is just as like unhealed as that was an unhealed version of myself perpetuating that. And that was a very crazy realization to have just now, because yeah, like realizing I'm not my mother and I'm never going to be my mother, and that me having a family of my own and being in that light energy for myself, like it's not going to perpetuate. It's not allowed to perpetuate because I've already cleared that karma. I've already cleared that energy from myself. Like it's not going to perpetuate. And because I've been living in this closed off heart space, heart energy, I've closed myself off to the energy of the thought that I could love anyone or love a child. Like I've been allowing myself to think that I don't like children, even though I've always loved children. But I've like closed myself off literally and was like, oh, I never want to have kids. Like I can't take all the things, etc. Like I literally closed off my love, which is the biggest part of myself. I'm a Leo, man. Like, love is just something that flows so easily. And I literally had this like question pop up, like, at what point did you close off your heart? At what point did you stop loving so freely? And I recognized that space where I did. And it's like, wow, spirit really just like bombshelled me just now. Like, notice how the candle is like going down and then coming back up. Spirit really just bombshelled me to realize, like, even that was me being in a space of not loving and not being in an open heart space, because I know that it's part of my destiny. It's part of my journey here. That is one thing I will celebrate about my inner child and my child self, is that she always knew from day one what she was meant to do. And it's taken a 24, almost 25 years to get to this point of recognizing, like, she wasn't making shit up. She wasn't being silly. She wasn't weird. She may have been born into the wrong family in terms of it not matching, but I was literally brought into my bloodline to heal my bloodline. And man, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Especially, I'm sorry, like, this might turn into a me session, but it might heal someone. But like, even just like, okay, I'm a generator, right? I have a lot of sacral energy. I have a lot of fire energy. Like, from a young age, I recognized lions and cats as my spirit totems. More recently, panthers have been coming up more, lions, like the cats have really resonated. Now in this phase of my life, the Egyptian energy is coming up. I don't really know fully how to tap into my past life energy, but I know it was a past life of mine, and it's coming in strong. I've always resonated with magic. From a young age, fantasy books were my jam. Magic made sense to me. Otherworldly creatures made sense to me. It was never a matter of like, oh, it's coming from someone's mind. Like, the longer I've lived on this earth, the more I've just been like, it was necessary. And I will share, I don't know who is gonna get this far into the video, but at the time when I was born, my mother had a miscarriage of twin boys. And then I guess at some point after, she had me. And I was born premature, like 2 months, 3 months premature. And when I came into this earth, I was already like turning blue. I was dying. And my mother recalls it as like her kind of finding Jesus moment, where she prayed and that I would live, and she would give her heart, her life to God, etc. So be it. I think on a soul level, and I could be wrong, but I think on a soul level, I recognized what the trials were gonna be for me in this lifetime, and I was like, no, send me back. And she prayed, and the spirit was like, or maybe my soul was like, all right, you know what? Okay. But recognizing that the life I lived with my parents, it wasn't all bad, but it definitely damaged me emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. I think it was a good setup in the like Christian household and the way that things went. I think it was good spiritually for a setup to set me up in my faith and recognizing like otherworldly power, and just being able to see spirit move in certain ways. And it definitely set me up for my awakening and moving away from all that. But yeah, from a young age, I just had a very clear awareness, and it was like my whole upbringing was meant to like kind of beat that out of me, literally. Like, I wasn't meant to, like, it didn't align with what I was growing up into, if that makes sense. And it's like my time since moving away and cutting people off has really been about finding that again, finding the magic within myself, finding the magic within my own life, and realizing that that younger version of me was not crazy, that she knew something I didn't, and that it's like time to re-embrace that and healing all over again, reparenting, reconnecting with my inner child so that we can come together and build exactly what I know I'm meant to build. So yeah, y'all just witnessed in real time like my own personal healing. That was wild. I don't even remember what I was talking about specifically, but like I know I was talking about generational healing like from the tree backwards, and just also recognizing that for myself, having a child, bringing a child into this world, even though I feel like my incarnation into this role, this lifetime, this family is meant for me to heal their bloodline for them. But for me, it's like I was there, then I had to move out, then I had to heal and heal again and heal again and heal again. And now it's like, okay, you've healed them, you've healed yourself, you've healed them, and now it's like looking forward to the next generation. It's still kind of scary, but wow. Like, it just felt like my heart just like opened all over again. Like, I need to experience the love of a mother and being that mother. Isn't that wild? Like, I literally closed myself off to the thought of that because I was like, I don't want to repeat anything, but it's like, no, sweetie, you've healed that. Now you just need to stop talking about yourself as if you haven't. You have healed it. You're going to do better. You're going to be better. And you need to perpetuate yourself on this earth and heal that bloodline. I've already disconnected spiritually from that bloodline anyway, but I'm not connected to either side. It's not like something where it feels like being a matriarch of a new line, a new lineage, like making the very distinct decision to be apart, to be separate, to be different, and to start something new. And I'm grateful for that. I just send gratitude to the universe for that. I don't know what my next incarnation is going to be as. I don't know if I will have a next incarnation. I believe I'd have one more. I've been told by a medium, that I have a very specific purpose with someone else. And if it's not in this lifetime, which I don't know, I don't feel that it will be, because I have a very distinct awareness of a purpose I need to serve in this lifetime, but together we have something that we're supposed to do. I think it's going to be in the next lifetime, and I think that's probably going to be my last incarnation on Earth. I'm an 11 energy, and I'm hoping the way that we put videos out there, that this system lasts for a long time, because I really feel like the videos that we're putting out now, even if it's just like a spiritual thing, even if YouTube disappears and whatever, like the fact that we're putting things out into the quantum field, the Akashic records, like our new selves are going to be able to experience that and latch onto it. Like the reason that Gen Alpha, as we call them, is so much more powerful and aware, like the COVID babies, like they are tapping in and coming into this incarnation already awake. There's an awakeness there that past generations didn't have. I'm not going to include myself because I was awake and then I fell asleep. I dissociated because things were too traumatic and painful, and now I'm coming back to it. But the next generations are waking up sooner, and they're already aware, and they're already like, there is such a revolution in spirit and a change that has to come, which is why, like, and this might be a message for someone, you may not find any peace listening to news. Like, not even just traditional news. Now the news has seeped onto social media. Like, it's everywhere. And listening to that and hearing that perpetually is not going to help you, because you need to be in the vibration of love and change, revolution, and whatever your purpose is in this time for that, let it be. Ashe, do it. But you can't be in this energy of like being pulled down vibrationally. Everything I've said about leveling up and healing, like, we need to be in a new vibration in order to change the energy of this earth. This earth is going through dramatic energetic change. And if you, like, it's not even if, like, you're going to be a part of it whether you want to or not. But to be a part of it, to really and truly be a part of the change, you need to be a part of the vibration that brings that change. So, you know, whatever your spiritual practice is, whatever needs to be elevated for you, now is the time to really lean into it and to do it. Yeah. So I'm gonna end it here. This went longer than I anticipated. I don't think there's anything else, although maybe this card might be significant if anyone's still watching to this point. You might feel connected to the Sphinx. You can't even see it. Oh my god. This card says Halls of Amenti, Records of the Soul. You might be called to connect to a past life, past energies, Akashic records. Yeah. That's where I'm gonna leave it. So I hope that you have an amazing day, an amazing time. Really, I really call you during this time of this Venus retrograde, or whenever you're watching this, to reconnect with your heart space. Bring your heart space and your inner child together. Inner children, rather, everything that your inner child has experienced. I have a doll charm. I know you're not gonna be able to see it, but I have a doll charm here that came out. What are you? I have no idea what this is. I know I'm holding it the wrong way. What is this? Hey, I have no clue what that is. This might be significant for someone. I really wish. Hold on. Is this on? Oh, it is. Oh, sweet. Okay. Oh. Okay. I don't know what this is at all. Maybe it might look like something to someone. I have no clue what that is. Am I holding it? I'm holding it the wrong way. That's why. Still having a hard time seeing what it is. It looks like a top hat, a ladder. And something on the bottom. I can't quite tell what it is. Clutter, maybe? I don't know. Maybe there's just some emotional clutter, mental clutter, physical clutter you have to work through. And then we have a butterfly that came out. So these might be significant to you. I'm going to turn this back off because I love the darkness. Yeah. I feel like a lot came out in this reading. I don't know who's going to watch it, but definitely comment if you do. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.